I'm going to show you how to test the glycol level in your radiant heat boiler system. The glycol remains in a closed system, so if you've had to drain down the system at all or replace components, you're going to want to make sure that the glycol level is correct. The last repair done was a circulation pump replacement. We didn't lose that much fluid, but I want to make sure it's correct. So make sure the boiler is turned off at the switch and at the breaker, just to ensure that nothing is turned on. We're going to get a test sample from the relief valve. If the system was running, you need to wait at least 1 or 2 hours if the system was hot to make sure it is cooled down enough. Here's the relief valve. Now I filled up this plastic cup full of a small sample that we're going to test. I could see on my boiler that the glycol level was previously 30%, so hopefully it's around that level. Again, after waiting 2 hours for the system to cool. So I have a couple test strips right here. At first, I wanted to use these automotive test strips since I had it for testing coolant in my car. I wanted to see if they worked. Luckily, there's a few test options so we can get a couple readings. But again, these are not specifically designed for radiant heat systems. They are designed for coolant. But you can see here it does measure the glycol level. Be sure to follow the directions on the bottle. And following the guide, we can see that it's around the 30% level using the color on the test strip, comparing it to the color on the side of the bottle. You need to take a close look at this following the directions on the bottle to get the best reading. And I think it's right below that 33%, around 30%. The good thing about these test strips for automotive is it actually has a pH strip as well. And from, these rough estimates in the color guide, I think it's about a pH of 10, which is good. You don't want it to be acidic. So I did a freeze test as well with the sample we took. I set my freezer to about 8 degrees and put it in there for 4 hours to see if the, water glycol mixture actually froze. And here are the results. It got pretty slushy. I mean, it kind of froze, but there is still some liquid in there. So it's definitely holding up well at 8 degrees, but it did start to freeze. And if you look at a table chart, you can see that is around, 30% or so. Took a temperature reading just to see what it was, and my heat gun said 14 degrees. Now I set it down to -4 degrees, and the glycol should definitely freeze, again, for 4 hours. And it was pretty much frozen. It seemed like there was a tiny bit of liquid left. You can kind of see it when I tilt it, but it did thaw very quickly after 15 minutes. But in order to get the best results, you do want to get this type of test strip, propylene glycol check. Now I got these from Amazon. I'll link to them in the video description. But just follow the steps on the bottle, dip it in for 2 seconds, and match it up just like the auto ones after 60 seconds. And we're going to see if these two are accurate. Now, this one doesn't have pH level. It's just the glycol percentage level. But the range on this bottle is much easier to read to get an accurate reading. Like I said, dip it in for 2 seconds, wait 60 seconds, and compare to the guide. And just like the auto strips, it's about 30% glycol level. It's the glycol in the system that actually prevents the pipes from freezing in the radiant heat system, and the water actually radiates the heat off of it. Now, I ran this test twice. Both got similar results. I can definitely smell the glycol in the system, and if you can feel it, it's a little bit slimy residue on your hands. So if you found this content helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll link to the products I used in the video description.